Hello and good Sunday morning to you. I'm Hugh Keaton. Welcome to WLOX News This Week. We start with the deadly terror attack on Bourbon Street in New Orleans. Police train for incidents like this, and here to share his insight, Biloxi Police Chief John Miller. Chief, thank you for joining us this morning. And first of all, when you saw this early on New Year's Day, what was your initial reaction for the people that are involved and also for the police responding?
Well, certainly you really have to feel for those families, those victims. I mean, that's just horrible to be, trying to have a good time and something like this to take place. We know these folks are out there. We've seen it before, and this won't be the last time that we see it. But, our heart went out as a department, again, for the victims and their families, and then for those officers that are trying to work this and figure it out and put all the pieces together to determine what actually took place and why.
Yeah, how concerned are you? You probably were asleep when it actually happened that early in the morning, but when you know that officers have to rush into there like that, into an uncertain situation, how concerning is that for you, for fellow law enforcers?
It's very concerning, because again, those guys had no idea what they were going into. I mean, is it a lone wolf, or is there several of these people throughout the city? What's going to happen next? So your mind starts, going into overdrive, and you try to, as a police officer, if I had been there, or an administrator there, I would certainly have been trying to think of what else could take place right now. Is there something else that we need to be looking at quickly? Yeah,
you're looking at the big picture. You're looking at the whole area, who else might be involved, and how to keep that area under control, so to speak.
That's right, absolutely. And officers are trained to do that. I'm sure the New Orleans officers are extensively trained. There's no doubt in my mind. But you can train so much. But things like this are still going to happen, and it's that training that kicks in when they happen that makes the difference usually.
And you were telling me that actually the Biloxi Police Department had members of the bomb squad already there in place preparing for the Sugar Bowl, and then they were assisting in the investigation afterwards.
Yeah, that's true. Yes, we send officers over every year for the Sugar Bowl and the Super Bowl from the bomb squad, and that's something that a lot of agencies do. We're a regional bomb squad, so we're controlled by the FBI, so they would actually have jurisdiction to be there. But I know that their duties changed a little bit. I think they were asked to do more than they usually would do, which was fine for us. Certainly we want to help all that we can.
And they did in some ice chests. There were some potentially explosive devices found in the area that had to be dealt with there. What all goes, anytime there's a situation where you could have explosive devices, what goes into containing the area and making sure that everyone's going to be safe?
Well, there's no doubt in my mind that once one of those devices was found, they had probably already cordoned off the whole area. And I don't know for a fact, but I think that those devices were found in that area. So you would certainly make sure that the public was away, that everything's as safe as you can make it. And then they may have detonated those, and I don't know this, but here we would probably have detonated those in place. Instead of trying to move them and risk life and limb of officers or the public, we would probably have just blown those up there if we thought it was safe to do.
Right, and it looks like, from what I can tell, the police response was as quick as it possibly could be. As soon as it was evident that he was going through Bourbon Street at a high rate of speed, the police got there quickly and put a stop to the situation.
It certainly appeared that way to me. I don't think they could have been any quicker than they were.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into the specifics of the training. You have, of course, big events here in Biloxi. There's Mardi Gras coming up. There's big events throughout the year. How do you train for something that would look like this?
So there's several different trainings that are involved, and people think, and you'll hear this once in a while, as a criticism, officers need to train more. Well, when it comes to those types of events, there's really, man, we've got all the training that we could possibly find. So you're not only going to train for what to do in that incident, in the vicinity, like we talked about earlier, is trying to make sure that you're not overlooking anything, and that are there other suspects. And so your training is going to deal initially with that. And you're going to have probably some citizens who may feel like they're harassed. But in a situation like that, it's all about security. And if we have to stop someone and talk to them to determine what they're doing there, if they're involved in any kind of way, it can be a little insulting to people, and I understand that. But I think that the majority of folks know that this has to take place in order to keep a safe
Right.
community.
And do you feel like that something like this happening, it will bring awareness to that need? Anytime there's tragedy, it brings awareness to it, and it'll sort of give an explainer of why you're doing what you're doing.
I think it will, and I think that you'll see in the next year or so, you'll see police departments throughout the country. They'll be training in different arenas if they can, just to try to keep them above.
Right. So how much do you feel like there's now going to be some sort of a coordinated effort, or not just around the region, but around the country, looking at these terrorist attack situations? Do you feel like there's going to be more of an emphasis now than there already is?
Oh, I think you'll see that, and I think you'll see the feds, the federal law enforcement step up and offer considerable training. They usually do, and I would expect they're going to do that now too.
When it comes to the FBI and how these investigations unfold, we saw the FBI get involved pretty quickly here in this incident. What is the procedure there? We don't certainly hope that nothing like this would ever happen here, but if it did, how quickly would the FBI come and get involved?
Well, they would be there immediately.
Yeah.
They're really good about that. They'd be there immediately, and then there would be some discussion about whether this was going to be a local case or a federal case. And certainly on the federal level and the local level, we're all going to do what we think is the best to prosecute that case, whether it be staying on the local level or going to the federal level. Obviously, with this case, it appears that the federal level would be the direction to go.
Right. And how concerning was it in the hours after this happened that there could be potential other suspects? And we're so close, maybe even in this area. Was that brought up?
That absolutely was brought up. So officers, everywhere, were on heightened alert, and everyone was looking for anything that looked suspicious, which is at this time would probably be a good time for me to say, so many times people will call us after the fact and say, I saw that, but I didn't want to bother y'all. It was a gut feeling. You have to make that call. You have to make that call. And
you're ready to make the call and be prepared for when it happens. Well, Mardi Gras is coming up soon. As far as the big picture of how to keep an event like that secure, how do you do it?
So we will be a heightened alert naturally. We'll be looking for things that we may not normally look for. I hate to say that, but I know that we will, just simply because of that heightened alert. And we'll have every officer available will be working.
All right. Well, Police Chief from Biloxi, John Miller, thank you so much for joining us in the wake of this tragedy, and it's good insight from your perspective.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
being.